CD&SAM podcast. I believe it is
20,
episode 23, right?
24.
24. Okay, cool. In honor of Kobe, I guess. I don't know. Um,
R.I.P.
yeah,
Kobe.
fairly simple podcast here. We got some Saints stuff, of course, if you watched that game last night.
Go Saints.
Pelicans off to a great start, as well as some other stuff around the league and the NBA. As always, we will be on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, probably on YouTube again. We're gonna enable comments at some point. I don't know.
I'll figure that out today.
Do all the stereotypical YouTuber stuff there. Help us get the podcast out there to more
Sam,
listeners.
did you get a haircut?
No, I just took a shower. That's why. My voice
Right.
is kind of weird and like I cough. It's because I'm running a low grade fever, but we persevere through for the podcast. So
Yeah, just similar to tomorrow's flu game if you do want to go to school.
yes,
Um,
yeah, I might have to work through a fever to play some intramural football tomorrow.
you know. But let's start with the Saints here. I must say, throughout the first three quarters, I was really impressed with not only the defense, but the offense seemed to have been moving the ball. For the exception of the first few drives. A lot, we beat ourselves with an Olave dropped pass that would have put us down to 10. Taysom Hill at the end of the game, not holding on to that crucial pass. And then the play calling, which I talked about this last episode. It just mind boggles me. And I'm not going to get all bent out of shape like I did last week, but I'm kind of accustomed to it by now. You, as well as I, both know that the Saints have the best short yardage player in all of football on their team. Taysom
With the
Hill.
exception of maybe Derrick Henry, yeah.
Yeah. At least in the NFC.
Yeah.
And we just never seem to put him in on third and short, which
No, we don't.
doesn't make any sense. I mean, okay, don't put Taysom Hill in, but you decide to pass the ball? To Marquez Callaway, who hasn't caught a pass in 5 weeks. You decide to throw one of the biggest plays. You could have put the game away had you got that first down. But no, you decide to throw a quick slant to Marquez Callaway?
Yeah.
I
It's
mean,
frustrating, our play calling. But
and I mean, yeah, you could tell me the Saints have endured some injuries here and there. And yes, that is true. But when you're in a position like they were last night, quite frankly, it's unexcusable how you lose that game.
yeah, I mean, obviously being up 13 points heading into the fourth quarter, it's a game you're expected to win. But the Taysom Hill stuff is really just confusing. Because anyone that's like watched a single Saints game if they're the play caller would put Taysom Hill in on third and short. And it was a play, I think, early in the game. It might have been like 2nd and 7 or something. And we ran like a Taysom Hill power up the middle. And he got like hit in the backfield and he still ended up picking up a half yard on the play because there's no person in the NFL that can stop Taysom Hill right where he's
I know what
standing
play you're talking about.
when he's got a full head of steam.
Right.
So why we don't trust him to pick up a yard, 2 yards, half a yard. Yeah, I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, this season's a wash. You know it. I know it.
Yeah.
Hopefully next year we're not going to try to do too much. I'm going to be completely okay with bottoming out, getting a top draft pick because, like you've said in the past, I mean, every team does this after a Hall of Fame or franchise quarterback retires.
Yeah, I
Or
mean, the
leaves.
way I look at it is the Saints did everything that they could have done to get Drew Brees a second Super Bowl, and it didn't work out.
For
So
sure.
now you've just gotta move on from that. And that'll probably be through some quarterback in the 2024 draft class.
Caleb Williams. Come
Maybe
on, baby.
Caleb Williams. We'll see. Like I've said, I think the more interesting question is who plays quarterback next year.
Davis Mills. Take
Like,
commander.
Yeah, maybe we get Baker Mayfield. I don't know.
Baker
Next
just signed
year,
with the Rams. You saw that?
yeah, but he'll only be there for like the end of the
Oh
year.
yeah, it's a rental.
Um, but it's gonna be bad for a long time. I think Saints fans realized that last night. Like I think they finally came to that realization watching that fourth
Last
quarter.
night was the solidification. That solidified that the Saints were not going to luckily make the playoffs, and that the Saints won't be good next 1 or 2, maybe 2 years.
Yeah, I'll say this. Through all the BS that the NFC South has been this year and for how disappointing the Saints have been, the worst thing the Saints could have done going into last night's game is win the division. That is the worst case scenario for the franchise because if we had tricked the front office into thinking that this was still in a win now spot, it could set us back years. So I know fans are going to be disappointed with that loss. It's a terrible loss. I won't lie. I hate Tom Brady. But in the grand scheme of things, you might look back at it and say, "Man, I'm glad we didn't win that division." You know.
I mean, as a competitive, love my team sports fan, I want the Saints to win the division.
Oh, of course. I said that yesterday. I said the worst thing that could happen is that the Saints win the division. With that being said, I hope the Saints win out and kill everyone.
Yeah. But like you said, I mean, I like to think we have a good front office with Mickey Loomis, but the Saints are in cap hell right now. Like cap hell. I think we got the second worst in the league behind the Cowboys.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, I mean, we're just gonna have to go through a rebuild. It's okay. I mean, I'm mad about it, but we've been spoiled for the last 4.5 years with good football. So,
Yeah.
granted, it's ended sadly.
Yeah, no, I trust our front office. I think they hit more than they miss, and I don't blame them for going for something this year, knowing what Jameis Winston did as a starter in limited time last year, thinking that maybe the NFC South was vulnerable and give themselves a shot to get in the playoffs. But clearly that's not going to be the move moving forward.
No, it'll be really interesting to see who's our quarterback next year.
Yeah, I honestly don't be shocked if it's Andy Dalton.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
It could definitely be Dalton again, or it could be Winston. But one thing is certain is that the quarterback next year will not be the quarterback the year after.
And that's a really good thing. But so do you think we'll get who do you think will put in your take? Who do you think will be our quarterback at the start of next year? You think it'll be Andy Dalton?
Start of next year, I think it'll be Andy Dalton. Our offense has honestly not been that bad with Andy Dalton statistically. Now, it looks terrible, but statistically, we've been a top 15 offense with Andy Dalton, the quarterback.
Yeah, facts don't lie. But watching Dalton is just, he's so okay. Like, he doesn't do anything to, jump off the screen to you. You know what I mean?
No, except when he does something truly terrible, which he's done.
Well, I mean, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
The things that don't go unnoticed, and I, being a longtime sports fan, notice these things. But people think Andy Dalton's played a good game because they look at the stat sheet. Oh, I threw for 225 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. Yeah, it's a good stat line. But when you miss Alvin Kamara on a wide open wheel route for a touchdown, it's not a good stat sheet because you just completely missed 7 more points and another touchdown added to your stat sheet. And you lost the game.
Yeah, like I said, it looks terrible. Statistically, it's good, but the eye test says that he's a bad quarterback. But we'll see.
Yeah.
Embrace the suck 2023 Saints football.
I wonder what's going to happen with Jameis Winston's career. CFL maybe?
No, he's gonna stay in the league. He's gonna be a backup, I think. That will maybe get one more shot, but I have one thing to say. And this is directed to my boy Trent, one of the Willow fellas. But I hate Jameis Winston apologists. I hate people that make every single excuse to try and claim that Jameis Winston is actually good.
Is Trent one of these people?
Yes, he is. But like, how long does a quarterback have to be bad for him to just be considered bad? Because you can't tell me that the dude still has tremendous upside when he's out here in his 7th year in the league. Like, he's just not a good quarterback. I'm sorry if you think that he is, but he's not had a single like really productive season, and he's had all the chances in the world.
Yeah, dude, that's crazy. He's been in the league for 7 years. I remember when he was at Florida State. I sound old saying that, but I remember when he was
Old
at
head
Florida State.
sports fans here.
Yeah. But I mean that wraps it up with the Saints. I mean, I'm as diehard as they come, Saints fans. But we're gonna have to embrace the suck for the next 2 years.
You've seen the video of the Browns fan going like, "You're this," or like, "You are a factory of sadness. I'll see you
Yeah.
next week." That's how I feel
Yeah.
about the Saints right now. Like, I'm gonna be miserable watching him, but
I'm
I'm
gonna still
gonna
watch
tune
him
in.
every
I'm
Sunday.
still tuning in, and it's gonna suck, but I'll be there.
No matter what, I'm watching him every Sunday. It's just, like for the Pelicans, when they sucked, I still watched them.
Yeah, but basketball is less painful than football
Yeah.
because there's
I
82
mean,
games.
basketball gets painful when
When Matt Ryan hits a game-tying 3 with 0.7
or
on
it's
the
just
clock.
like a random player like Ish Smith just decides to go off for 35 points against the Pelicans. I'm not saying that's happened, but in the
Have you been
past, that has
seeing what
happened.
Andrew Nimhard has been doing recently?
Yes, I love me some
He's
Andrew
going
Nimhard.
off.
At Gonzaga.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's who he was. I knew that name from college somewhere. Yeah, he was a good shooter back in Gonzaga.
Sam, we got to look up the guy who the Hornets took.
Oh yeah, we were wondering who had the Pelicans pick last year. But I still hold some resentment to Gonzaga for what they did to my bracket last year. I thought it was finally their year because they had the 2 big men, and they had Nimhard, who was a great shooter, all conference, and didn't work out because it never does for the Zags in the tournament. But
so the Hornets took Mark Williams, big man out of Duke.
Big man, right? Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think. Oh no, I'm thinking of there's a dude named Nick Richards, I think, that comes off the bench for the Hornets. I don't know who whoever is.
Yeah, I knew. Actually, let me see, because I remember it was him and this guy Wendell Moore, who I thought were going to be really good, but Wendell Moore hasn't done anything.
Okay, I feel like
Mark Williams had Duke.
I feel like this year more than any other year, I've just watched like NPC basketball players that I've never heard of.
Like elaborate.
Like the sick. Do you remember you were watching the game on Sunday, right? The Pelicans.
Yes.
Dude, who is the 6th man for the Nuggets? Konkar?
Oh, Vlakato Konchar?
Yeah, who is that? I'd never seen him. He's the 6th man. Who the hell is Santi Aldama? Like,
you don't know who Santi Aldama is?
No, I know who he is now, but like I had no clue.
He's now he's a starter for the Grizzlies.
Yeah, now he's a starter for one of the top teams. And like Lamar Stevens was starting for the Cavs tonight.
Who the hell is Lamar Stevens?
Exactly.
Who is Lamar? I no disrespect Lamar, but
there's more NPCs than ever in the NBA.
Yeah, I mean that's because there's been a lot of injuries this year.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I've been.
I kind of want to just go through a lot of teams and just kind of hear your takes on them, and I'll obviously give my takes too. But first team I want to start off is the freaking Wizards, man.
Wizards, it's impressive that they don't suck. Kyle Kuzma is criminally underrated, even though I don't really love the guy, but he does average like 17 points and however many rebounds. And they have put themselves in a spot to contend for a play-in, but that's all they'll be.
So I'm gonna have to disagree with you over there. I think the Wizards, you said it's impressive they don't suck. I didn't think the Wizards were gonna suck this year. I mean, they have Beal, they have Porzingis. I mean, they're a walk-in playing team. That being said, I am eternally happy that my team is not ran like the Washington Wizards is ran. I mean, they just they're completely fine with being mediocre.
They're
Which,
directionless.
if that was my team, I'd be helpless, man.
Yeah, if you had to watch a slightly below average team get rolled out every year, which I
I mean,
mean, to be fair, that's been the Pelicans the last 3 years, but
no, but here's what I'm saying. The Pelicans, um, like they're the Pelicans did that for 3 years. They did it for 3 years. They had a superstar. Washington doesn't have a superstar. You cannot tell me that Bradley Beal was ever a superstar, regardless of how many points he was scoring. He was the only guy on the Wizards team. Um, I mean, Pelicans had other guys like Drew, who we traded, which the Wizards aren't going to do something like that. The Wizards aren't going to trade Beal because they just signed him to that record-breaking deal. And they have done a horrible job of developing young players like Denny Avdia. Denny Avdia doesn't shoot the ball. He doesn't have confidence. He doesn't shoot the ball. Rui
Corey Kispert.
Hachimura. I mean, Corey Kispert, I wasn't really that high on him.
I know, but you're still talking about top 15 picks, though.
Yeah, he was a lottery pick. And Rui Hachimura. I thought he was going to be good in this league, and he just hadn't.
I did too. I thought he might be like like almost a better PJ Washington, maybe.
Fair assessment.
I mean, but I thought he'd be like a solid like 16, 17 point per game scorer.
Yeah,
He's certainly not been that.
It's refreshing knowing I'm not a Wizards fan.
All right, I'll throw out a team here. Sacramento Kings.
Like the beam, baby. I've been a De'Aaron Fox fan my whole life. He's from Louisiana, believe it or not. Did you know that?
Didn't know that. No, I did not.
He's from Louisiana, but he grew up in Texas. Yeah, I mean, I was high on the Kings. I had the Kings finishing ninth, which is high for the Kings because nobody else. What'd you have the Kings finishing at?
12.
12, yeah. So I don't see here's what my philosophy was. A team with Domantas Sabonis, who has been a good regular season player, and De'Aaron Fox, who is a walking 20-8 player every night. And then they got good role players like Malik Monk, who has outdone his role on the team. He's done really well. Malik Monk has.
Harrison Barnes is still an
Harrison
odd because he wouldn't take a picture with me, but
Harrison Barnes has been doing well. Matter of fact, I picked up Harrison Barnes for 2 days in fantasy. He was averaging 19 fantasy points per game, and he got me 35 each night. So shout out Harrison Barnes.
Yeah. I mean, I'll say this. I know that all 23 of the Kings fans are freaking out because it's the first time they've ever been above average in 20 years. But don't think that you're going anywhere. Look at the teams that are behind.
Kevin Huerter's also been good.
Yeah, Red Velvet's been really good. But I look at the teams behind him in the standings, and it's talent-wise, the Clippers, Trailblazers, Warriors, Timberwolves. That's
Timberwolves are in a bad spot right now.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we said, how it might take a little bit to adjust.
Yeah, but the Timberwolves, I was listening to some podcast, and they were saying the Timberwolves GM should be thrown in federal prison if the Gobert thing doesn't work out.
Yeah.
So, I mean, think about what he did. He literally traded away their future for the next 7 years.
Yeah, traded away everyone. And I might have said this previously, but Anthony Edwards is the key to everything with the Timberwolves. If he develops into a top 10, 15 player in the league, yeah, sure, you look great in getting another guy, another all-star caliber player around him. But if you end up with 3, I don't want to say lower tier all-stars because Cat's better than that, but with Rudy Gobert and Anthony Edwards, then I don't think you're winning a championship.
Right. And I don't know about you, but every day I try to watch as many of the NBA highlights they post on YouTube.
Oh,
And when I watch the Timberwolves, the energy just doesn't seem there, which is strange because the Timberwolves were one of the most high volume teams last year with Pat Bev and Ant.
I'm telling you,
But
Pat Bev was a huge part of what they did
yeah,
last year.
just Ant, I just feel like he's not the same this year for some reason.
Well, you you look at you're looking at a guy whose game is
So you're
really
gonna get a
centered around
guy.
yeah, really centered around playing in the paint, and now you've brought in a center that like can't shoot for more than 10 feet outside the rim, so it just doesn't work.
I saw a stat with Carl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert on the floor together, like with that starting or with that five on the floor, they're the worst. Like that starting five or that five with Cat and Gobert is the
Yeah.
worst defensive team in basketball.
Yeah, they're just dysfunctional. Like they look awkward playing the game.
I hope for the sake of the Timberwolves fans, because they have not had very high moments
No.
throughout their franchise history. I hope for their sake, for their sanity, that this at least somehow works out. Because if it doesn't, I mean, dude, that this set back 7 years.
Yeah. And here's the handcuff that the GM puts himself in is that whenever we talk about the Timberwolves during the Gobert era, the expectation is championship. Because when you make a move like that, the expectation is championship. If you're going to give up everything that, that your future has, all your draft picks, including a guy like Walker Kessler this year, then you're expected to go win and do it at a high level.
When the Timberwolves made that trade, I did not think championship.
No, but
However,
that's got to be the expectation, though.
no, I
If
hear
you're gonna
you.
make
I
that,
hear
yeah,
you. I hear you. That's all I'm saying. Like, I'm not arguing with you. Like, I
yeah,
know what you're saying. Um, but the Cavaliers, when the Cavaliers made that trade, I thought championship.
yeah, definitely.
So you think Rudy Gobert giving up all of that for Rudy Gobert was worth it?
No, not close. I think it
I,
would be worth it if that was the package they sent for Kevin Durant, but not Rudy Gobert.
if you're trying to fill seats, congrats, you did it.
Yeah,
If you're trying to win titles, if you're trying to win basketball games, I mean, you're going to win a
no,
fair share of
it's
basketball games, but you're not going to win a title. You're going to be good. You're not going to be great.
no. I think it's gonna be a struggle for them.
I
Um,
agree.
upcoming, yeah, unless they figure some things out, but we'll see. All right, I'm gonna throw out maybe one more team name.
Pacers.
Your Pacers. That was gonna be another team. Exciting is the one where like I love Tyrese Halliburton not only because he's on my fantasy team, but I always have just kind of like the way he plays. And I like Miles Turner too. I love a big man that can shoot. It's unique.
I'm going
And
to go get something. I'll be right back. It's going to be a surprise to you.
okay, I'm just gonna continue talking here. They're a fun team this year. You look at the roster. Obviously, they're outperforming what they were expected to do. Um, some of the rotational pieces maybe aren't the best, but it's a lot of guys, and it's similar to the Jazz last or not the Jazz. Sorry, like I'm thinking of the Jazz 2 years ago. Sorry, just a lot of guys outperforming their roles. Ben Matherin's been a big part of that, and yeah, they have a fun team this year.
So, Sam,
Yeah,
talking about how you like Tyrese Halliburton, right? I like
did,
Tyrese Halliburton, but I also like Iowa State, baby.
did you get an Iowa State Tyrese Halliburton?
No, I've been having this since I was like 7.
Why?
I was an Iowa State fan when they had Monte Morris.
I respect that.
Yes.
Um,
So yes, I like Tyrese Halliburton. I knew of Halliburton out of college. I didn't think he was going to be doing what he did or is doing, I should say. But he is one of the most efficient basketball players with the actual pill
yeah,
we've seen in a long time. He doesn't turn the ball over and he gets assists
no,
at a crazy number.
yeah. Someday, so I still do, but I used to own like an insane amount of jerseys. There was a time period where I had a jersey for 25 different teams.
I
So
wish I could say the same.
someday I'm gonna like I have them all like in a box somewhere. I'm gonna get them all out. We can peruse
Sam,
the
I need to see him. I need
greatest.
to
Yeah,
see him.
we'll show them to you at some point.
Yeah.
Uh,
But it's the reason I wanted to talk about the Pacers is you saw what the Spurs are doing. I mean, the Spurs have lost like 13 straight games.
yes, they're terrible.
I think the Jazz are starting to fall down.
Yeah, they are.
But the Pacers, man, they're still staying afloat.
Pacers are still up.
So, I mean, obviously the Pacers aren't going to compete. I mean, what do they
No.
do?
No. I think so. You know the curse, right, of the Pacers never getting a top 10 pick that ended last year. Like it had
Yes.
been, yeah. It's gonna restart again. Like this, the Pacers franchise
And
just
they have Rick
can't.
Carlisle. So,
Yeah, the Pacers franchise just doesn't know how to be terrible. They don't really know how to win, but they know how to not suck.
hey, man, they
And
made a conference finals.
yeah, they have made. Oh, they made a championship once, 2002. But
What was that with
that was Reggie Miller,
yeah,
Jalen
Jermaine O'Neal.
Rose, yeah, Jermaine O'Neal. Wait, was Jermaine? I think Jermaine O'Neal was on that team.
I can't
Jermaine O'Neal
imagine
was like
Jermaine.
second in MVP one year. Fun fact, or third,
Really?
something like that.
Are you
Yeah,
serious?
yeah, he was insane for a few years. But yeah, it should be fun. They'll probably end up in like the 10 seed, maybe 11. But
See, if the pace like yeah, but if the Pacers don't sell their team, I feel like they're gonna be like 8.
yeah, they might because they're well coached and they've exceeded expectations. So maybe.
I mean, they just have like the will to just not will. They just have like the mentality of going
They
out
just
there
have a
just
good
like they
group.
don't care. They just really
Yeah.
like because like they have no expectations. They just go out there and play basketball.
Yeah. So I think those are probably the three most interesting team. Maybe not the Wizards, but those last
No,
two
definitely not the Wizards. Wizards are
really
not
exceeded
interesting.
expectations this year. I have so as you all know probably if you watch any sports, the World Cup has been going on for the last like 2 weeks. I know we don't really talk about soccer here, but I have a unique roast today. So today's roast is a guy named Gianni Infantino. If you don't know who that
So you're gonna
is,
say Gianni Arula.
no, it's not Gianni Arula,
Spain
but
did lose though.
they did lose. So Gianni Infantino is the leader of like the FIFA organization, and like for anyone that doesn't know him, he's this like bald, Humpty Dumpty looking ass, limp dick that who's practically a
Stan, what did
combination.
I say about swearing?
This dude deserves it, but he's basically like a combination of Rob Manfred and Daniel Snyder.
That is not a good combination.
He is because he's got the Rob Manfred sense of just like not being a fan of the sport that he runs. Like everything he does just ruins the sport. And then he's also got the Daniel Snyder side of just like being a terrible person. Um like where okay, first of all, the World Cup this year, sorry, that's going on right now. I should be talking about that in the past tense because it should have gone on in the United States last summer. I would have probably I might have been in Houston watching some random countries play, but it should have been there. Instead, we have to watch it in Qatar. I'll get to my personal problems with that before I get to the more overarching ones. But for one thing, like I really like the World Cup. It's one of my favorite events. And the fact that like I've got to sit in math class while the World Cup is going on is disappointing.
Sure.
Whereas it should have been the games should be in like at night last summer in the US. And gosh, Qatar. I mean, obviously the dude directly was taking money from Qatar, and they built, I think, 6 stadiums that are all just going to sit vacantly. The World Cup this year cost, I think it's like if you combine the last 16 Olympics and the last World Cups, you would get how much money it costs to run a World Cup in Qatar because they were so unprepared for it. It's just a terrible location,
It's an
for
evil
one
world we
thing.
live in.
That's why they couldn't play it during the summer because people would literally die. Um, it's one of the least welcoming places in the world. It's inherently, the country itself is like inherently homophobic and sexist. Like I've probably watched about 20 like 20 games of the World Cup this year. And yeah, there's women in the crowd, but like it's always for the visiting teams of
Yeah.
like countries. I have not seen a single like Qatari woman in the crowd. The fact that like if you look it up and you try and search are like women allowed, the first thing that comes up, one of the first things that comes up are women allowed to be at the World Cup. That's really telling to how how corrupt it is that we have to watch a World Cup in Qatar. And this dude, you just cringe every time he speaks about how everyone is welcome to Qatar when the laws of the country like specifically exclude like a large population of the world. It's just baffling. I hate this person. I hate this dude with a passion that this wasn't in the United States, that we have to watch it in Qatar, that it has to be in November and December at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, even though it's like 11 o'clock start time there, because it's so like messed up that we have to watch a Qatar World Cup. But
Right.
there you
I mean, piggybacking on what you just said, I mean, this is horrible. I mean, this is terrible.
go. Yeah, to put it,
Playing a weighted, I mean, people, dude,
it's the biggest event.
It's the biggest event by far. I mean, dude, you know, soccer fans from like Brazil and Spain, from the second the World Cup ends 4 years ago, they were waiting for the next one to start.
I mean,
And you decide to have it, and one of the most poverty-stricken countries in Qatar, and just this small little country in the Middle East, which
in the
is
Middle East, yeah,
not a good area,
no,
clearly. I mean, there's war going on everywhere.
yep,
And you're just going to have these $6 billion stadiums just sitting there.
yep. They're
For
all
what?
just gonna sit vacantly for the rest of their existence. I mean, I say there's probably
Mind you, at the cost of 10,000 plus lives.
yeah. I mean, the dude is basically a disguised mass murderer. I mean, really, he is though. Like,
I know he is.
it's entirely his fault. And I'll tell you, if the World Cup was in the U.S., you know how many deaths we would have had building stadiums? Zero. Zero people would have
And
died
if we
building
had
stadiums.
one, we would have gotten flamed.
Yeah, we would have. It would have been everywhere. Instead, thousands of people die building these ridiculous stadiums in Qatar, and they try and suppress it because they know how messed up this is that we have to watch a Qatar World Cup.
Have the freaking World Cup in Sweden, man.
Or literally anywhere in the Western world. Like, heck, and they put it in Russia, and that was corrupt too, but Russia was like better because they at least had stadiums and they at least play soccer, and it was somewhat normal.
Why did they feel the need to go Russia than Qatar, bro?
Well, because they got paid off.
Well, I know, but that's so ridiculous.
I mean, there's probably a couple hundred, maybe 1,000 people that really profited off of this World Cup.
Really, I mean, so this is kind of a sidetrack, but in English right now, we're reading about 19th century poetry, right?
Yeah.
And come across guys like Ralph Waldo Emerson and Henry Thoreau.
This is a weird twist of the podcast.
I'm gonna cook.
All right, it's building up.
And we've talked a lot about how people are sort of blinded by the government, right? I feel like this is just a prime example of this because the people, us, me and you, had nothing. Like, we couldn't do anything about this. Like, I mean, I'm sure people knew that this was going to cost thousands of lives. Not to the number it exceeded, but they knew it was going to cost them lives working in this heat 4 years straight. I mean, they started this building. I think they started building this in
It
like
was in like
20.
2014,
It
maybe.
was almost a decade ago.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
So it's really an evil world we live in.
Yeah, it's more of a somber roast today, but like the guy deserves it because he is evil.
Yeah.
Like there's few people that I would just call evil. Daniel Snyder's one of them, and then this dude is just evil, like just bad,
Seriously
really
though,
bad.
rest in peace to all those people that died.
Yeah, I mean, we gotta keep it real.
Gotta keep it real on the CD&SAM
Uh,
podcast. Never gonna cut anything short here.
no, never. This is only the realest content here.
Yeah.
No, no, we're not
Bro, you
held
like that
back.
shout out of Ralph Waldo Emerson though?
It was. I like Ralph Waldo Emerson. I rock with that guy.
You like his work?
He's got good takes.
No, he actually does. Like
I know, bro. He's
he's
spitting.
enlightened me.
Um,
Oh, one last thing. You saw the thing with Aaron Judge to San Francisco.
no, I don't want to talk about Aaron Judge. I'll talk about Aaron Judge when he signs with the Yankees. Other than that, I will not talk about it.
All I'm gonna say is I saw a Bleacher Report notification that said Aaron Judge is headed to the Giants. And my heart sank, but it was a mistype. So thank God.
It's all right. I'll talk about Aaron Judge when he resigns. The ownership knows that it's a must to resign Aaron Judge. Otherwise, the fans are just going to lose their minds. So I'm mildly concerned, but I think they'll resign him.
I am very concerned.
I think they'll resign him. If they don't, it sets a really interesting precedent around the Yankees organization moving forward.
Yeah. Are the Yankees still the old Yankees?
Yeah, are they still the biggest, market? Is it where everyone wants to play? Because if Judge says no, then clearly
Last
it's
few
not.
years, surely haven't said
Yeah.
anything. If you think about the guys we've gotten, did we trade? We signed Rizzo, huh?
No, he traded for Rizzo.
Yeah. So we traded for. Did we trade for Stanton?
No, we signed him.
So yeah, Stanton's been our biggest free agent signing.
Garrett Cole was
And
big.
forgot about Cole. But like, so you know how the Yankees were like, oh, we got less than a minute here. You know how Correa was tied to the Yankee rumors? We didn't get him. So if Judge doesn't come here,
I mean, Yankee fans just expect to get everyone, and when they don't, they get pissed. Yankee fans are the most privileged fan base in sports, other than like maybe Boston sports fans. But yeah. All right. With that being said, thank you for tuning in. We got like 13 seconds left on here. Be sure to leave a like, comment with all that stuff here. Cue the outro.
Sam and CD and Sam.